Okay, today it's homemade sausage rolls. It is winter here, it is cold, and a nice homemade sausage roll with homemade tomato sauce, the best. So I went down to the supermarket and bought some mince. This one is 18% fat, which is what you need when making sausage rolls because you need a nice fat content. So I've used 1 kilo of beef mince, and then I'm also using sausage mince. Okay, come on guys, out you come. Now, if you don't like handling raw meat, wear the gloves. I don't have a problem with it. Lots of hot water and soap gets rid of that. So because I am making a large amount, because I'm sharing with other people, I'm doing a double amount of sausage rolls. Normally you'd use one of these with about 400 grams of beef mince, but seeing as I'm using 1 kilo, I'll just put 2 of these in. I'm not even sure how much is in these. 500 grams, so 1 kilo mince of the sausage mince to 1 kilo of the beef mince. Then I forgot the important ingredient, mashed potato. So I had leftover mashed potato the other night, and this, I would say it's a generous, it's a couple of cups, 2 cups of mashed potato. Now when I mash my potato, I add milk and I add butter. So to combat having that extra moisture in there, I'm putting in a cup of panko breadcrumbs. You can use any breadcrumbs you like. We have got 2 teaspoons of curry powder. I use the good old, Reliable Kings. That's an Australian brand. I've got here 2 teaspoons of curry powder and 2 teaspoons of onion powder. Now, normally you would chop up a fine onion, and the same with the garlic, and cook it up and all that. I've got people who it reacts with their diet or their digestive system, so I don't put in the actual onion and garlic, I use the powder. If you prefer, you can use fresh, and I'm adding in a teaspoon of cumin. So, it's all in there, now it's time to get started. Alright, and you've got to mix until there is no sign of anything specific in there, so you can't tell there's mashed potato in there, you can't tell there's powder in there, you can't tell anything. It's got to be really well mixed. Now I know some people do this in the food processor, and on a day like today I'm sort of regretting not doing it because that potato and that meat is really cold and I'm already cold. So, but it's good exercise, it's very therapeutic, and if you have an annoying teenager, make them do it. Sorry, annoying teenagers. If you're a teenager and not annoying, then you shouldn't be made to do it, only for annoying teenagers. No such thing, right? Okay, and it's got to be mixed really, really well. Now, if you want to put some fresh herbs through there, I mean, this really is a recipe that you can adapt to suit your own tastes. Try not to make too big a mess. Making it double batch makes sense for me because I am sending these round to some people, and I do them when they're fresh. They can either eat them straight away, or they can pop them in the freezer. I'm using frozen pastry, and it's fine if you're going to refreeze it with the stuff in it and then cook them up later. I have never had a problem with it, but I do use a really good quality product. I'm not sure if the cheaper ones will come up as well. Yeah, I'm really not sure. But I've never had an issue. I use Pampers every time. And that's one thing I don't mind spending money on. I work full time, so I don't have the time to be fiddling with pastry. The supermarket stuff, the bought stuff is just as good. And I really like it. I'm sure homemade would be a different thing. I don't have the time. I apologise to those people who have to eat my stuff and realise it's not homemade, but yeah, too fiddly for me. Now, I don't think I mashed that potato as smoothly as I usually do because I've got a few lumps happening here. So tiny bits of potato are going to end up in this mix. But everyone who knows me knows I put mashed potato in my sausage rolls. That's the secret of having non-rubbery sausage rolls as far as I'm concerned. I do not like a rubbery sausage roll. So those people who've always said, how come your sausage rolls are so good? This is the recipe. I'm getting there, almost as far as I can go without freezing my hands off. I'm just going to wash those precious little fingers. Here we have Pampers puff pastry. I don't use butter puff for these particular sausage rolls because there's enough moisture in and fat in the mix. So if I add the fat to the pastry as well, I'm going to end up in trouble. What recipes have they got on here? Almond and blueberry Danish and brunch tarts. I have a real issue with freeform tarts. I don't know why, I just don't like them. Okay, now let's separate some of the sheets here. How did that moisture get in my pastry? The pack must have been slightly open. Now, I'll just get out a couple of sheets for the time being. And with this, actually, I will use, sorry, being noisy, I will use the breadcrumb container. Oh, there. Okay, and what I need is one of my chicken's eggs. They're lovely fresh eggs. I don't know if you can see the window through the pantry there, but that's where the chickens are in their little hen house. We only let them loose if we are out there because we have lots of cats in our neighbourhood that people do not lock up, and I don't want any of our chickens to become fair game. So if you see movement outside of that window, it is because our chickens are there. All right, so I've just got you can tell how well I beat that egg. I've got a beaten egg there. So when I have a square of pastry, I usually cut it in half and get 2 long, very long sausage rolls out of each one. And then I usually cut those into thirds. So I make a sausage shape down the middle, fold them over, bit of egg wash, make the fold at the bottom and then cut them up. Now what I will do is grab some trays to put them on. All right, so I am going to cook up just one so you can see the finished product, but the rest I'm just going to put on a tray and divvy up, put into freezer bags or put them into containers ready to share. Not too fat, obviously, because you don't want the sausage rolls bursting. Do make sure you're up to the ends though when you do it. So Don't know if you can see this or not. I'm not touching the camera with my meaty fingers, but if you have it all the way to the end, otherwise you'll just end up with a whole pastry end without any meat in it. So make sure it's fairly even all the way along. Let's see, will that reach? Might do. And I think I've been a bit generous. I might trim some of that back. Take some of that off. Alright, let's see how this goes, maybe a bit better. And don't forget, these are homemade, made with love. There's a sign in my kitchen that reads, "Happiness is homemade with lots of love and butter." Although my mother-in-law, when she was still with us, would say you eat with your eyes as well as your mouth. So everything has to look elegant, darling. All right, do this for the closing. Roll it over and push it shut. Okay, so when you roll it over, this is what you get. I usually cut it in thirds, which is to me, I mean, if you're doing a party, you can cut it into sixes and just have little bite-sized pieces. And then I jab it in 3 times just to give any extra grease somewhere to go. So that's what you end up with as a finished sausage roll. And I will pop that in the oven just so you see what they look like when they're cooked. And I'm going to go ahead and complete the rest. The really good thing is if the pastry rips, you can glue it back together. So this one's gone a bit rippy. So when you put the egg solution on, paste it on like that. And before you roll the other side over, make sure you've glued these bits back together and then roll it over and it'll stick to the other side and it will be fine. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Nothing if not perfection. The other good thing about using onion and garlic powder is that it doesn't matter if people don't like onion. I mean, it provides the onion flavour without the bits of onion, and that's, I know there are some people who can't digest onion, but it's the actual onion itself. It's not the powder that gives the flavour that they can't digest. So I haven't, and the powder for the garlic also is much milder and doesn't usually create any problems, because I'd used 2 teaspoons of garlic powder and 2 teaspoons of onion powder, but that was 2 kilos of mince, so it's not overboard. If you really like cumin, you can add 2 teaspoons of cumin instead of just the 1, but I don't like it to be too cuminy. I'm sure that's not a word, but you know what I mean. Too much cumin flavour, because not everyone likes it. And the curry powder doesn't overwhelm in this recipe either, because it's only a couple of teaspoons to an awful lot of mince. And there's the potato and the breadcrumbs. There's nothing like a homemade sausage roll on a cold winter's day. Now, I'm assuming sausage rolls are a very Australian British thing. I haven't started smelling any cooking smells yet. I think it takes about 20-25 minutes to cook, something like that. All right, so not including the ones in the oven. We have here 5, 10, 15. We already have 20 sausage rolls. So we've got 2 dozen, including the ones in the oven already. So we're on our way to making people happy, which is why I cook. Well, I remember when you could first bought pastry, it would come in bricks and you'd have to roll it out to suit yourself. Luckily these days they've done all the hard work for us. Much easier. And that way you can have one lot of pastry for the base. So you could use a short crust for your base or whatever you're doing. And then use a puff for the top and make it look all swishy duck. So I've got some rhubarb growing in the garden. And I do have a recipe for a Dutch apple pie, which is, it's made in a cake tin with the pastry on the outside and then a lid on it. And I'm thinking I might do a Dutch apple pie, but make it a rhubarb and apple pie, because the rhubarb is amazing this year. I'm sure having bees in our garden has made an absolute difference to everything we grow. Having bees just wandering around, doing their thing, spreading all the love and the pollen and everything else is doing wonders. We had an amazing crop of passion fruit this year. The tomatoes, I've still got tomatoes in the garden. It's winter. This is crazy. Eggplant, I've got eggplant out there. What else have we got growing? We've got citrus fruit, but that's normal in winter. But they are very bountiful this year. Everything that we get more than we usually get. So we're very grateful for the bees. All right. Oh, I have to say thank you for the lovely earrings that I'm wearing today. Thanks to Christy, she went on school camp as a teacher and brought me back this lovely gift, which was very nice of her. Did miss her while she was at camp. 10 days for a school camp is a big commitment for a teacher. You really are on for 10 days, 24 hours a day, which is very, very hard work. I used to stress out when it was 2 nights or 1 night. The kids she goes with are a bit older. Doesn't make it any easier. I think that's more of a worry. I remember what we were like as year 10 going to Tasmania on our camp with the girls' school I was with, and there were lots of shenanigans that went on. The girls were very excited at one motel we stayed at because there were football players there, and one shopping centre we went to. The girls got up to all sorts of hijinks. Christy is my bringer of earrings. She always surprises me with lovely little gifts. They actually match my t-shirt. I'm wearing a Susology t-shirt which has got the sunflower on it, so it actually matches really well. I don't know what kind of flower they are on my earrings, but they're just the whole floral thing. It's very nice. We've got, Eugene and I were out in the garden having a look around at what the bees were doing, and we have, I know it's winter, but we have so many flowers in our garden. We've made a conscious effort to keep lots of flowers out there for our lovely bees, and it's just a burst of colour as you drive up our street. It's fabulous. Here comes the taste test. We've got the ones ready to give away. Now, do you want some sauce with it? We've only got bought, we haven't got any homemade yet.
No, I'll have it as it is.
All right, go on. Taste test, please. Drum roll.
Am I ready for this?
You haven't had these before. I have changed it a bit.
Here we go.
All right.
Oh, that's not damn bad.
So what can you taste?
Hint of curry.
Yeah.
It's light.
I like the fact that it crunchy. It's sort of flaky, crunchy.
Yeah, light. It's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't mind that.
Okay. Well, I might even keep some for us then. Not give them all away.
Oh, I like it.
All right. I'll pack them up.
Cool. I'm keeping this one.
Yeah. Please don't put crumbs all over the house. It is very crumbly. Please.
Okay.
I'll just enjoy. Okay, cool. Well, if you want the recipe, let me know. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and keep watching The Madman. Thanks.